Alright guys, so what I'm doing today is I'm doing a video on if you want to replace this little compartment up front. You know, it's for sunglasses and other things like that. However, I don't like it. So I am actually going to put a phone mount in there, specifically made for this style screen for my GMC Sierra. This is the package that I ordered for my 2021 GMC Sierra AT4. This is the mount itself that will mount down inside the dashboard. These are the 7-centimeter long red carbon fiber extensions with the universal phone mounts, one for each side, the passenger and the driver. These are the 20mm ball mounts that will mount to the mounting grid itself, that will attach to the arms, that will attach to the phone mounts and actually hold your phone in place. Alright, so first things first, we're going to take the rubber matting out of the dashboard, and then we have to separate the top portion from the bottom portion of the mounting grid so we can actually get under there and mount this inside. We do that by removing these screws around the outside. Now that I have these two separated, I'm going to take the bottom portion and set it down inside the dash cavity. Now remember, I removed the rubber so it allows the space for that to sit down in there. Now once it's down in there, there's actually 6 spots, little holes that you got to score in order to put the mounting bolts in there. So you just mark where you gotta drill the holes at. Take that back out. Now that that's out, there is a bolt that you're going to have to remove to pull this out in order to drill your holes, depending on which model of truck you have. All right, in order to remove that screw, it is a 7mm 1/4-inch drive socket. Now, mine is only in there hand tight. It wasn't even tightened down very much. Take that screw out. And then out should come the rest of it. Now, Bulletpoint did provide a safe and easy tool in order to help remove the plastic components that need to be removed. So be careful, gently pry the sides and the areas. And out it comes. Voila. Now what you'll do is you'll use the provided drill bit to drill those holes that you marked in an earlier step. Just be careful when you do. It says to move to a workbench. I'm going to do all mine right here in the truck. Nice and slow. All right. Now as you can see, all 6 of those holes are drilled. That's where the rubber grid mount will be mounting to. All right, so now what it says to do, now that we are done drilling the holes, it says to take the dash tray and set the new mount, rubber grid mount, down in there. That way we can go ahead and mount the rest of the items. So it provides you with the nuts, the bolts, everything you need to go ahead and mount all of the systems together. So when inserting these, the actual bolts are inserted from below while the nuts and the washers go from the top. All right, once you have all your nuts and bolts tightened, this is your finished product. 6 bolts down inside of your dash liner. Once that's there, go ahead and put it back into your dash. Make sure it all lines up correctly. It's all got to pop back into place. You'll push it all back down in there, make sure it's seated properly. And then you'll take that 7mm screw that you took out of the dash earlier, put it back in, tighten it back down. Now, like I said, when I pulled it off, it was only hand tight, and I don't want to crack the dash or ruin the dash, so I'm only going to make it hand tight, putting it back on. Safest way to go. It's not going anywhere. Now, if you wanted to, they gave you some self-tapping screws that you could actually mount this even further, you know, to the dash liner, but it's only going to be the liner. It's not going to be the actual, you know, dash of the truck. It's only the liner. So, I mean, you've already put 6 bolts into it. Do you really need more? So earlier you separated this piece from the piece that you just put in there. Well, now you want to set it here just to see exactly where this stuff's going to line up and where you want to put your mounting balls for your phones. Me, I have OCD and I am a symmetrical person, so I want them to both be in the same spot no matter what. I don't care what my wife says when she's riding in the passenger seat or whatever. They are both going to be in the same spot. So now to figure out how I want them. Like I said, I only got the 7cm mounting arms, so they're not going to stick out way too far, but you still want to know where you're going to put them. So everything has a wing nut over here as far as mounting to the balls, mounting to the arms, things like that. So you'll slide those apart ever so gently, put that in there, snap it back together, and then use that wing nut to tighten it back down. And that starts your mounting arm. Now, you're going to have to do the same. You're going to have to loosen it up to get it over that ball before you tighten it down. Okay. So, just depends on how big my phone is going to be, where the mount's going to be sitting at. I think right there is going to be good for me because I've got a big screen phone. I might even come down a little bit further to try and take up some of the space that it has. So that's exactly where I'm going to mount them. So once you figure that out, you take them back apart. And you pull this off and proceed to mount your 20mm balls in the spot that you want them. Now, unlike the actual device that we mounted to the dash liner, we want to ensure that the bolts actually go from the top down to the inside. All right, now I've got one side on. Now to put the other one on the same way. Now I have both of the balls on there. Now, the cool thing about this little apparatus is that not only is it a phone mount, you can stick a camera on there, you can stick a radar detector on there, you can stick a third phone mount on there, you can stick a tablet mount. There are so many different options that come with this type of phone mount from Rubagrid and the Bulletpoint mounting solutions. I do encourage you to look at the website. They have all kinds of trucks, just not just GMC Sierras and things like that. They've got a lot of different options for different vehicles in order to mount your phones. So now that we've got this placed back up there, the only problem is when you go to install other components to this thing, you have to take the actual top of the Ruber Grid off in order to remount or mount any other things that you want on it. Now, in tightening down these bolts, keep them loose because it does need to shift a little bit in order for you to find the actual hole for them to go into. And then once you get all of them mounted in there, go ahead and tighten them down. Now that I have them all in there, I can tighten them down. You don't have to crank them down too hard. It is a metal bracket. Just go enough until the screwdriver stops. And like I said, they supplied most of the tools you need. Obviously, you need a drill in order to get the holes to mount the base of the frame, but they do give you the drill bit. All right, now that that's in there, my mounting bracket is up, and now for me to install the mounting arms. I'm not sure if you have a preference, but the mounting arms for me, I would like the wing nuts to be on the outside in order for me to make adjustments, not have to reach in between them to do so. So the outside for the drivers and the outside for the passengers. Now, you'll be able to adjust them, fine tune it, do what you want, and just keep tightening it down. Now, over the next couple weeks, obviously bouncing around and, you know, learning the movements of the truck, they are going to loosen up from time to time, just a little bit. If you find that happening, just retighten them. Don't over tighten them, but just retighten them to get them back to where you want them to set. Now that I got the mounting arms on, let's go ahead and put the bracket for the phone mounts. Now, the other thing that's cool about these is there are other options that you can do. So if you only want to keep one phone mount, you can do another ball with another connector and put another phone in the middle, or however you want to do it. People do some crazy stuff. Once you get those on there, you tighten them down. Now, this is a universal phone mount. You know, I'm trying it out in order to know if my phones are going to work with it, because I do have a pretty large phone. I got the S23 Ultra from Galaxy. Now some of the newer iPhones might be bigger, but they do have a smaller, a regular size, and then they have an XL size. I took a chance because my wife's phone's smaller, and I did measure mine. I did take a chance on how big. I just went with the regular phone mount for mine to stick in there. And if it doesn't fit, well, it doesn't fit. But I already tried it inside after I did the unboxing to make sure that my phone did fit in this mount, and it does with the case on it, so I don't need the extra large phone mount. But they also have a tablet mount if you need anything bigger, if you want your phone to go sideways, something like that. Or you can just put it in there and then rotate it sideways, right? But we don't need that. Like I said, I'm OCD. I like my things to be where they're at. Tighten everything down. That's what I'm going to look at there. That's what she's going to look at there. She can move hers. But right now, all I have is the phone mounts. Eventually, I will get the camera up here. I'm not sure if I'm going to mount the camera up underneath here or mount it to this, but I do want my radar detector as well. And once I get that, I will post a video for that. But there it is. This is the Bulletpoint Mounting Solutions Ruber Grid mount for a 2021 GMC Sierra.